I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM Players, and I'm just glad to be home right
Are you going anywhere again soon?
now. I get a couple weeks off, and then it's Vegas for Sweet World, and then
Oh,
Vegas
that's right.
for AI World, and then California for CCE.
Interestingly enough, on that particular trio, I'm with you on two of them.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even think of that. So I won't be at Sweet World because why would I be? Right. And but AI World, where because you and I will be doing like some really cool stuff, and we'll be talking about some big changes and Oracle CX and some things going on there. And then CCE, where we're experimenting.
We're experimenting.
We're trying some stuff.
Here's something that's not an experiment.
Oh, okay.
It's the
Uh
moment of
oh.
spin.
Okay.
I know
Man,
Steve Jobs and
I'm
Players.
leaning to. Ooh, I'm leaning somewhere in the Finnish language family. Finnish or Estonian, maybe. Uh, you know what? I'll go on a limb on this one. And it is kind of a limb because I think unless if Spen's starting to repeat himself, we got an issue. But because he's done Finnish, so
He's finished with
by
Finnish.
that's right, he should be finished with Finnish. So I will say, I'm probably wrong, but I'll say Estonian.
All right, Sven, let us know. Is it
Uh,
the Flintstonians?
I just thought, you know what though? I'm just glad to see Sven, man.
Yeah,
I'm
wasn't he
just
missing
well, last week we
last
had
well we
awards.
yeah. He was there, but we I don't think we could do
No, we
um,
weren't able to do it.
yeah. And we didn't do a show on Thursday, so
No,
we'll see what it is, see if you've gotten back on because you were on a kind of a losing streak there.
I'm still on a losing streak. I suspect I went on Indonesian. Oh man, you know it's sad because I actually thought that very first thing, but I said I couldn't do that because Sven, you've done that at least twice already.
Sven is claiming victory.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, but you can't repeat yourself, man. I'm going on the fact that you're not repeating, which makes it a lot harder for me. Okay, so if Sven, say yes, I will continue repeating, or no, I won't repeat anymore, so I understand what context I'm working in. Do tell
gotta
us
know
that and tell us that in the comments.
gotta know the context. Context is king, isn't it, or something
Yeah,
like that? I don't know.
yeah.
Um,
I am on a losing streak though. But he'd done Indonesian twice, so I didn't even. I it looked at there was certain
it,
Indonesian like the word yang that they had there was definitely one I've actually seen in Indonesian, but
have,
but
have you
I
read
just
the
didn't think.
have you read the content?
No,
Of that?
it's not a matter of that context.
Yeah,
Oh no, the
context.
content of the thing. No, you didn't. Did you provide it? The English translation of what he wrote?
Yeah, oh yeah, I put it up there right next to
Oh,
where it
I
said
missed it.
Indonesian.
Oh
The only,
yeah. Thank
only
you. No, we definitely appreciate it, even saying it sometimes. It's probably
yes.
more frequently than we feel ourselves.
By the way, what was I gonna say about that? Oh, did you get it right the first time he did the Indonesian, or did you get it?
Yeah, I got it right the first and the second.
He did it
I
three
couldn't
times.
believe I just got it wrong this time because I didn't occur to me he would do it three times.
You know that's the charm.
Not for me. I lost.
Either way, we are the CRM players, and we've been bringing the as since 2009.
We are so good.
When are we gonna get tired of like bringing the thing we don't know what it
What
is?
it is? Well, we could always go to bringing the. Well, we could, if we want to get really narcissistic, we can say bringing the Maine, but use the initials for the state of Maine, which is ME. So bringing
Mm,
the me since 2009.
I remember the main, so I'm not gonna do
Ooh,
that.
that actually wasn't too bad.
That means I won for
That's
a little
right.
bit.
You win.
Anyway, so yeah, it feels like it's been a while, and I'm literally just getting back. So I'm a little discombobulated because it's the last 2 weeks San Antonio the week before. Yes, I guess that was last week. San Antonio for Zoho's very first ever SMZ event, which is like a small business influencer thought leader kind of event. What they did is Zoho Day, which
Yep.
is which I actually have an origin story because I helped put it on the very first one before they got serious and got somebody like Sandy Lowen to take it to all new heights. But Zoho Day was really meant for, well, at the beginning, there wasn't really a whole bunch of enterprise analysts really following it because it is so well known for what it was doing in the SMB space. But as the years have gone by, and they have definitely put a lot more emphasis on beefing up and building up their enterprise offering and how they are able to support enterprises, which is definitely different from small businesses.
Yeah.
So now they got to the point where they had so many enterprise analysts and small business enthusiasts, leaders, whatever you want to call them. There's just so many, and they don't really speak the same language.
No.
So it's kind of hard to do one analyst influencer event that encompasses folks that are really focused on the small business end, and then folks that are incredibly focused on the enterprise. Each of them don't want to hear about the other. So they have gotten to the point where they do their Zoho Day, which is now for the enterprise folks, and now introducing, as of last week, SMZ.
SMZ.
That's what it is. I guess
small, medium Zoho.
There's got to be a Z in there if it's Zoho.
Yeah, for Zorro. This was Zorro.
But I liked it because, and I think most people, what I'm saying, I think it was like 20-ish people that they invited for that. And it was pretty much like, a little reception, an evening before the full day. And then it was a really, good day of opportunities. And it wasn't like, sort of like the traditional analyst event where, you have a bunch of people from the vendor basically doing most of the talking. And of course they had to do that because there's some things they wanted to introduce and all that. But it really was a really cool collaborative thing that they did. And they actually, what was really interesting is they have a new tool, a new collaborative tool. It's called Vani. And
Vani, like Bonn,
like Vani, I think.
Vani.
Oh, okay. And so they actually, the way that they kind of introduced it to us was just to start using it. And it was really interesting. I'm sure there'll be a lot of more coming out about it. But it made the whole day really fly because it wasn't just like, a bunch of vendor executives talking. There was, but they really did a good job. They did the collaborative thing. They had some customers. The customers were really good and interesting, and they fit right in. And so, it didn't feel like, sometimes you go to these events and it feels like they've got you locked away for like nonstop, a full day and night. You didn't really feel like that. And it's also a new kind of venue. We went to, I think that was the first time I've ever gone to San Antonio, period, but definitely hadn't gone there for any kind of, event. And it was cool. You had a chance to do a little walking around on the river walk. You got a chance to go and see the Alamo. I mean, it was just a really different.
You got to see the Alamo?
Yeah, I remember that.
The Alamo, what the hell?
So it was really, I wanted to just take just a few minutes to talk about that because they tried something new, and I don't think it's something that they can really do with the enterprise focused people because those folks are a little prickly sometimes. So.
Yeah.
I will say this about the kind of the small business world. The people that are in that world, whether they're, actual small business owners or analysts or thought leaders or influencers or whatever you want to call them, they just seem to be a happier lot than the enterprise analyst people.
I can't wait till you go to the next Zoho Full Analyst Summit. I cannot wait.
Are you kidding? Nobody's listening to us. Yeah, so it's just us talking. Oh, but
Some
I
of them are
was.
our hosts. Right.
Well, I'm not. Well, no, I'm not talking about the vendor side. I'm talking about the.
No, that's what I mean.
So, and I
Mike
think
Barset.
I didn't say the whole group. There are some people. Let's put it like this: there was. I'm not outing anybody, but
Okay.
during this event, this small business focus event, one of the comments was, I thank God that Zoho separated us from those enterprise people. and there were some examples given. And I was like, you know what? I've seen it. So I can't say anything more. I've seen it happen. So, and I don't think they'd be able to do this kind of event with that group, but you could definitely get away with it. Because I will say this, that community, now this is like the community of small business owners, experts, influencers, whatever you want to call it. And it was a very small group. It was like 20. It wasn't like, hundreds of people, but it was 20. Everybody liked each other. Everybody was like, they already like knew each other. And it didn't feel like there was a competing for who's the smartest person in the room. It was a very positive experience just because of that aspect of it, as opposed to, you've seen this.
Oh, I know.
Feels like people are not asking questions. They're trying to show how smart they know they are, and then at the end they'll throw in a question just to like legitimize all the stuff they just said. There was really none of that going on, which was just so refreshing. I just had to say that.
I will agree with you and not say more. I wasn't there, so I can't say it was refreshing, but I will agree with you on some of the reasoning behind why it was refreshing.
So Sven is asking about this was amazing. I know I had to share it with you when I saw it. Because I am kind of in tune with a lot of the stock price stuff going on mainly for selfish purposes. But I have never ever seen a company that's been around for almost 50 years and has been a publicly traded company for 39 years. And I'll tell you exactly why I know the exact date, because it's part of a little Stump the Godfather. So I think it was either Tuesday evening going into Wednesday evening or one, but that after their earnings call, now it wasn't necessarily the earnings call that made their stock jump. It went up as much as up 42% before I think it closed around the 36-37% range. But it was what was said, and they got a new contract worth billions of dollars, and the direction. It's always about the guidance. It's never about what happened. It's about what they expect to happen. And the earnings call blew it out. I mean, they talked about where things are going, and they're accelerating, and 42% up, $40 like overnight, and then like I said, it settled down. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. Have you?
Well, no. Well, I mean, I don't follow it like you do, but no, I haven't. Well, it's Elon Musk is back to the richest person.
Yeah, because at one point when the Oracle stock was up 40%, 42%, he was the richest. But by the end of the day, it settled down just a little bit, and I think Elon eked him out by $1 billion.
Well, what I saw in those numbers was at one point. So when the day started, prior to the increase, Larry Ellison was worth $74 billion. When the peak hit, he was worth $348 billion, which is that's more insane than the stock price increase, if you think about it, because that is not 40%. That is, let's see, 500%, roughly, just short of 500% increase in total wealth, which is already $74 billion.
That seems impossible.
I don't know. That's the number they keep throwing. And then it came down where Elon Musk was 348. I saw Larry Ellison went down to 346. So I saw 2 billion difference, but that's where I saw when he came down slightly. But it was absolutely, utterly insane. And I don't understand. I didn't understand Larry Ellison's 500% jump either. Sounded very odd to me. I mean,
Well,
not like it matters at all. I mean,
well,
what can't you do in this life with only $74 billion?
so that, of course, got me to thinking, and it also got me to doing this.
And now it's time for Stump the Godfather.
Now I'm sorry
with
it happened.
The venerable Paul Greenberg. Brought to you by Microsoft Dynamics 365 Copilot.
Why don't you do it with Todd Harris and be the Todd Father gaming?
I like Todd and all, but it's just not the same. All right. So as we were just talking about, yesterday's Oracle stock went up 36% in one day. Oracle's initial public offering took place on March 12th, 1986. So this company has been public for 39 years. What's the last company that has been public for 39 plus years to see their stock price go like that in one day?
Was it approximately that same number?
I just wanted something similar.
Yeah. Okay. So it's one of very few companies that, let's say, increase more than 30% in a single day or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Wow, that's a good one. Actually, that is a good one. I have to admit,
and nobody, if there's anybody out there, no cheating, because this is kind of an easy one to cheat on if you basically take what I just said and put it in. So no cheating. Give us your best guess. Sven, give us your best guess. Anybody else out there? I think Patrick is probably missing Rebecca because I think she might still be on the road. I saw her briefly at Genesis. Which I want to touch on a little bit too with Genesis. Sven is up. Sven is being a homer here. SAP. I mean, it is a pretty reasonable guess when you think about it, though.
Now, then again, this company doesn't have to be anywhere near as big as Oracle is either.
No, it doesn't. But just been around as long,
Yeah, that's different, though.
Been public.
Now, this company also, I'm presuming, does not have to still exist. It could have been around and at some point disappeared, just happened to be around that long. Well, that's such a big number. Jesus.
A publicly traded company that's been around for that long has a pop like that. I mean,
it's such a big number. It's so hard to. I mean, I'd love to say IBM just because it's been around that long and is that big and might have done something that had jumped it at one point. But I don't know if that's right. I mean, it's a completely wild guess. I mean, given that we don't have anyone guessing, I will say I'll say IBM, but that's just
okay. Completely. Sven has no idea, but he did say SAP, so that's his official guess.
Yes.
And yours is I mean, those are valid companies. You might even throw in a company like Intuit because they've been around.
I thought about them too, but I didn't know exactly how long they've been around.
So
that's my downside is that I don't really know the length of the life of these companies.
So let's do this. I see both of our guests are in the virtual green room. Sorry, fellas, there's no snacks or anything in there at this point.
There's stale cronuts. Still,
no, I think we even
threw them out since COVID.
I think we had to throw them out. Actually,
we had them there since COVID. So
we don't want to get like sued. So none of that. So I'm going to read the question for you guys, and then if you want to answer, you can put it in the private chat, and we'll let people know. As you probably both are aware of, Oracle's stock just went crazy with their earnings call. It was up 36% or thereabout, at upwards of 40%, but I think it settled down to 36% by the end of the day. Oracle has been a publicly traded company for 39 years. So the question is, what's the last company that has been public for that long see a stock price go crazy in one day? You can take a guess in the private chat and we'll let folks know who it is. The venerable Paul Greenberg has already guessed IBM. Our momentous Sven Esser guessed SAP. Guess where he works, by the way? SAP. And his other guess would be the CRM Playaz, who we haven't even been around that long, Sven, and we're not publicly traded. No.
Yeah, but our stock price has jumped 110% because 0 times 1 to the 10th
It's
is
an
0.
infinity.
Right. We have an infinite jump in stock price.
All right, guys. I'll give you. All right, I see something in here. Oh, okay. So, Mr. Gerber, my
Oh, he said no other company's ever
my
done that.
my five guys
Ooh.
brother there. He's saying no other company. Well, he does,
Meaning no other company has
and
ever
he's got a
done
little
that.
smiley face, like he might have cheated. And our other guest, Mark, he's just saying, look, just staying silent. I'm out. I'm out. So may be a good thing there, Mark, because Ray was right.
Yeah.
there,
Wow.
there has never been a company that's been public for as long as 39 plus years to have a 1 day spike of damn near
So
40%.
here's the sort of opposite side of the same question. What has been the oldest company aside from Oracle who have gone public and has had a stock jump over that 36%?
Say that again.
36% or over, meaning they had that jump, but they just haven't been around for 39 years.
Oh, I've had a couple of stocks that did that. Like Nvidia did that.
That's the one I was going to see. That was the one I originally thought of, but I know they hadn't been around that long.
I don't know how long they've been around, but another one that went up like that I actually do own, Broadcom has been killing it lately, and I've seen like a 75-point jump for them when they were in that 40 to 50%, not 50, but 30 to 40% 1 day stock jump kind of thing.
Ray Gerber gets it right.
Yeah, he's the right. He stumped the Godfather. Wait a minute.
No idea is not right.
None.
To your credit, nice try.
Yeah, that was a good.
That was a good try. To your great credit, but sorry, we may be dumb, but we're not that dumb.
All right, so but you like this one, huh?
No, I did. I thought it was a good question. I like questions that don't involve numbers.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty much it. What it amounts to. When it's not always some number, I'm so sick of. I told you I don't have a left brain. Right, so there's no point in throwing numbers at me because I have no idea.
So you have two right brains?
Yeah, no, I have one right brain, just a giant right brain. Right, when people talk about KPIs, metrics, benchmarks, I don't zone out because it's impolite, but I would if I could. I'd like to zone out. Let's say that because I'm not in. I know they're necessary. Don't get me wrong. I get they're necessary because you have to measure against things and have to have goals that are concrete and so on and so forth. But they bore the crap out of me. They do. That's why I always found it funny that somebody ever called me a business guru because I can't stand the idea of business.
Wait a minute. So I don't know if you were checking that in the private chat. By the way, Mark said he was checking Google. Sorry, Mark. It's too late. But Ray says Voyager answered to Paul's answer.
Oh, what's the details on that? How old a company are they, or were they when they had to jump?
Well, why don't we let him come in and join us after?
Whoa.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Figma was up pretty big too, but that was just their IPO. I mean, you've seen a lot of IPOs.
No, I'm not counting that. No, no. This has to be established companies.
Oh, look at this. He's showing off now. You own them. Okay.
You own them. Wait, do you own stock in them or did you own the whole company?
He owns stock in them.
I don't know.
Right, we got
a really interesting way to put.
We gotta move it because we do want them actually on the show. So let's
that would be
let's
good.
move this forward. So before we bring them on, I said I was at Zoho last week, and this week I was at Genesis Experience, and they are calling themselves an experience orchestration platform now. Remember back in the day they were a contact center,
right?
But during the Q&A with Tony Bates, who's the CEO of Genesis, he says, no, we have fully transitioned from being a contact center to a platform to a experience orchestration platform.
Well, that's interesting. So that puts them in the world of somewhat in the world of like Verint and Nice too now. At least in the what do you call it? The go to market side of the world anyway.
Yeah. Well, they're a part of all this, because they ServiceNow and Salesforce just invested a combined 1.5 billion in them, and Verint, of course, just got bought by Thomas Bravo for $2 billion. Nice just acquired Cogini. I never can say that damn name, Cogini or Cogini, some company. a conversational platform, AI platform. So they're all making that move.
Oh, wait, was it
Kajini or
no,
Kajini?
no, wait, I know it. Hold on a minute. You keep going.
All right, I'll keep going. Really, this is one of the better conferences of the event season so far for me. It was just interesting because, I mean, of course, everybody's talking about agentic and all that, but they got a little deeper with it. It wasn't just, hey, we got it, and all that.
Cognigy.
Cognigy. Yeah. I said cogeny, didn't I?
Yeah. So like progeny.
Coggery. Yeah. Anyway. All right.
Prodigy. Cognigy.
So during my time at Experience this week, I had a couple. Well, I did a few good minutes things. I had a chance to talk. Our buddy Jack Nichols, Jack. Remember we were just walking around the streets of San Francisco, we just running into the guy. So I got a chance to talk to him, and also I don't know if you talked to a gentleman by the name of Sarup Paul, who's at ServiceNow. He works with our buddies Terrence Cheshire and Michael Ramsey.
I must have talked to him. I've talked to everybody in that group.
He works very closely. I think he might even report to Terrence or Michael one. I can't remember, but he's on the kind of on the support side of the CRM thing that they're putting together. So I put together a little clip of the conversation I had with Sarup, and then a little Sarup and Jack together. And I think it's appropriate as we bring these folks out. So let me play this clip. It might be a little extended, but I think it'll help if I can only find where the damn clip is. Here it is.
I think the unified experience was great. It brought a lot of the stuff from the agent.
I really hate StreamYard. It does this to me every freaking time. All right, here we go. Here we go.
Kaltura, here we come.
I think the unified experience was great. It brought a lot of the stuff from the agent, the unified desktop, unified data model. What it didn't do is really unify the agentic frameworks that are kind of starting to merge on both sides to be able to do much more complex self-service capabilities. And people are really interested in that. I talked to a lot of customers that were waiting in line, like 20 people. And a lot of them were like, hey, we built things out on the ServiceNow side. Could we use A2A with agents in front of these so that we could have our CX side start to call those, from that perspective and use the A2A for that? So it's just starting to catch on, but I think they're really excited about it because they're starting to say, wow, I don't have to go re-architect stuff. I can leverage things from both sides and I start to bring them together and have them do more complex workflows, and candidly without having to go to IT and say, okay, go use these 5 REST endpoints, these APIs, all those pieces. And so there's a lot of excitement when I was talking with customers, and I had about 12 people already signed up to be in a beta, so apologies for that. But they're wanting to get it, which was fantastic. I mean, it's what you want to see after the months of working with this guy and the teams, and the dev team's really pulling it out of the hat, making sure it's real for this this conference.
So talk a little bit more about the whole agent to agent, and how does that actually not only fit into the partnership with Genesys, but also, like you said, you're really deeper push into CRM.
ServiceNow being an agentic platform, all the way from our agent control tower to the actual agents and the agentic workflows, which is a combination of agents, and then going down to the workflow and automation, which is undisputable where ServiceNow stands, and then the data, which resides within the platform, but with our workflow data fabric and our data.world acquisition, you start to look at this entire magic of AI plus workflow plus data. And when agents sit on that platform, they have access to those workflow automations, they have access to the data. So there's this horizontal layer, but the real might is actually in the truckloads of agents that we're shipping for other verticals, whether it is telco, tech, retail, manufacturing. We are shipping agents that are not only on the assisted side, but also now on the self-service side. So now when you see those agents and the power of the agentic conversational platform that Genesys has, we want to integrate at the agentic at the AI layer, which is where A2A is really relevant. All of that coming together and the Genesys partnership coming together, we decided that we will be coming for the agentic conversational platform orchestration across Genesys and ServiceNow. And our customers can access the turnkey agent capabilities that are now going to be available.
All right, that's cool. And then this last clip, this is the Chief Strategy Officer, Peter Graff, talking about...
I know Peter.
Yeah, he's a really good guy. We always have great conversations.
He is.
he's talking about how the agentic pieces has to be in the center of the platform for all this to happen, and also for what they call universal orchestration to take place. So check him out for just a second.
More and more it becomes clear that agentic AI needs to be built into the core of an infrastructure to actually orchestrate your automation, the way how you help and augment experiences with your employees, how you personalize, how do you optimize at scale. And so that it's not about a single application, it's about optimizing experiences end to end. And that's really the conversation we've had. That's also what all the customers that spoke during the keynote showcase, which I thought was hugely impressive, how comprehensive their approach was and how many levers they pulled to show that type of value.
All right. I thought that would be helpful as we introduce our guest today. And guess what? Genesis, I believe, has a relationship with the customer journey. Well, I want to make sure I get the. Why am I not seeing all this stuff that I had pulled up? They actually, your LinkedIn network will be back soon.
What?
What the heck is going on with LinkedIn? Okay. Now I just all right. It looks like
mine's
it's back.
Fine.
That was weird. You should have seen what happened. There's like a big splash screen, but I did a refresh and it's okay. But I believe Genesis also has a relationship with the Institute for Journey Management. So with all that said, I turn things over to the Venerable Paul Greenberg to introduce today's guest.
Well, I'll start with there are two principles in the Institute for Journey Management, which we're going to be talking about and we'll be launching shortly. I'll let them tell you when. Principle one is a guy I have known since, well, probably more than a decade now. Actually, the interesting. Principle two I've known even longer. Principle one I've known for more than a decade. His name is Ray Gerber. Now, let me tell you about Ray. Ray is a wonderful human being first. Okay, truly wonderful human being. He's also, I've known a lot over my time in the industry, and I'd say, if I'm being fair, it's about 30 years. I've known two enterprise architects who I consider to be absolute geniuses. And of those two, one of them is a true visionary. That one is Ray, right? He's a visionary. He's incredible at actually creating things and then putting them in a way that they can actually be used appropriately, and yet never losing sight of the vision that he has for the evolution of these products and these services and the thing and platforms. And the thing about it is his vision is always totally aligned with where things are actually going. Now, Ray also, as I said, is a very, very, he's like a dear human being. He's a wonderful person. He cares about people. He's just a kind man. Okay. And I know his lovely wife, Nicola, who's also a wonderful woman, right? They're just a great family. His kids are great. I mean, I know these guys and I love them to pieces. But I will tell you, on the business side, I don't know anyone better, really. When it comes to creating things and then really building them, he's the guy. Mark Smith. Now, Mark, interestingly, I've known a very long time. I've known him. Mark. So here's the thing. As all of you know, I always have thought Thunderhead is my favorite product of all time. And when it came to journey orchestration and journey management, I always felt they only had one competitor and no others. All the other ones were just useless fluff. And that one competitor was a company called Kitewheel. Well, Mark happens to be the creator of and founder of Kitewheel, right? So, I think, because I have another dear friend who you've seen on the show before, Jeff Nicholson, that I met Mark when both of them, Jeff and Mark, were even before Kitewheel, were at Portrait, because I have an email I found, one of my old things from Mark with Portrait software on it, right? So, and that's where I met Jeff too. So I think I met Mark all the way back then, which has got a long, long time ago. But what Mark is, I would say, just this spectacularly smart and again, truly nice entrepreneur. When he built Kitewheel, it was look, again, Thunderhead's like, I'm locked and loaded with them. Nothing displaces it ever. But Kitewheel was a true competitor too. It was really a good piece of work. It really had it had some market share. Not only did it have market share, had a great reputation, and part of it was due to the management team, which everyone liked. They were acquired by CSG. Mark went over to CSG. CSG actually, I think in the beginning, correct me if I'm wrong, gave him some actual funds to help build that out, and he built out a serious practice around experience at CSG that even though he is no longer at CSG still carries the messaging around experience due to what Mark actually did there. This guy just succeeds where he goes. And he and Ray came together because they've known each other a long time, and came together, and they're creating something called the Institute for Journey Management. I obviously know something what it's about, but I am not going to tell you because I want them to tell you. And but I will tell you this. It's sorely needed. So this is the right time for it to be here. Okay. And during the course of our conversation, that will come out why. So let's bring on Ray and Mark.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, guys.
Hi,
How you doing?
Hello.
Hey.
Hey, Mark.
Hi, Ray. How are you?
Nice to meet you, Mark. No, I'm saying Ray's talking to you. So, guys, listen. I look. You know me. You say the word journey, anything, and I'm in whatever it is, right? But when you, Ray, I think I spoke to you first about this when you were first putting together the Institute for Journey Management. The idea is it's not that it's just intriguing. It is obviously, but it's important. So, can you kind of go through what it is, why it's important? When you're launching too would be very important too, so people get a feel for it.
I'm sure it's going to be a good journey for the launch.
Dad jokes.
I know.
Okay, so I think Mark and I were both in the same boat. We both loved what we did. I think we created both equally great things, but we were both disappointed at the growth in the journey space. And that became more evident after the Thunderhead exit, where I spent some time at Qualtrics, and I was fortunate to talk to nearly 300 companies over a period of 2.5 years. And what I realized was we always talk about silos. Journeys is supposed to break silos, but there was silos in the journey ecosystem space. You had the journey mapping vendors, you had the journey analytics vendors, you had the data-driven vendors, the CDPs, you had the journey orchestration vendors, and they were just not collaborating. They were actually, backstabbing each other and, static journeys, and it's too complex and stuff like that. So after my forced retirement by Qualtrics, I was talking to Joanna about the Institute. She says, you talk to Mark. I was like, Mark Smith, never. He was my biggest competitor. And she's like, just talk to him. And we hit it off. We both had the same feeling.
Yeah.
And really, so, Mark and I did this together. I perceive Mark as kind of the CEO of the Institute. I'm more of a back office guy. I like creating content. Mark has run companies very successfully. So really, I think for us, the key thing is 4 key things. Is firstly, foster ecosystem collaboration. Allow the different vendors in the space to collaborate with each other. And what was exciting is we had our first kickoff in Amsterdam a couple of months ago. Time flies. And then I went into it with what I thought was going to be my driver is what I call enable interoperability between creating APIs and standards between journey mapping vendors and CDPs and stuff like that. And at the end of 2 days, it was really around foster ecosystem collaboration to be able for journeys to be to show the value of what journeys can do to companies. And then we had a follow-up meeting in London, 2 months later in middle June. And really we came up with something called journey-led value management. And over the last couple of weeks, Mark and I have even gone further and talk about what we call journey-led transformation, where that's the more strategic approach, and journey-led value management is the way that you achieve it to make sure that their companies can achieve value from journeys on a continuous basis, but starting small and growing big. So really, when I think about from my side, and Mark, you can add on now, is foster ecosystem collaboration, enable interoperability, deliver measurable value, because that's the key thing. We actively working, and Mark is leading that, to find proper use cases where business value was shown, deploying journey-based concepts. And then finally, over time, is to educate and advocate. And we're excited that Mark, again, is leading the creation of the website and all of that stuff. But we'll have more than 1,000 to 1,200 pages of content.
Wow.
That will be available through it. We have this concept of what we call maturity levels, where we'll expose people, because some of the concepts are so complex, to have foundational, intermediate, and advanced documents that build on each other. I will also, my book is now finished, doing some final edits. Paul will help me getting it published, but we'll make that available through the Institute. So I think that's from my side. Mark, over to you.
Yep. You covered a lot of it there, Ray, for sure. I particularly like our kind of starting point. As Ray said, we were head-on competitors for a long time. All right. Knew of each other, and I think saw each other speak at conferences and that kind of thing, but had never really got together. And when we did, the fact that we realized we kind of agreed on so much of what was happening in this industry. And as Ray says, one of our key points is value, and that was what we saw as kind of the big missing thing. Both Ray and I in our businesses had seen the amount of value that can be delivered when people get journeys right. And when they really implement journeys, it can be transformational to the business. But for some reason, not enough people are doing it. It's not really taken off. And I think, we all have ideas, and our meeting in Amsterdam was amazing. And in that we got, I don't know, there was 8 or 9 of the top journey technology players came together, following our lead. They came together, gathered in a room for 2 days, and kind of shared their thoughts on what's working, what's not working. How can we improve the whole industry? Even though they're all bitter competitors, just like Ray and I used to be, they're all competitors of each other now, but saw the benefit of getting together, to work together to kind of raise the whole industry up. There's so much confusion. What is a journey? You could start with that question. And depending whether you're talking to someone from a marketing technology company versus a CX company versus a service technology company, you'll get a different answer to what a journey is. And so that's really where our idea came from, that we kind of need an organization that's going to be here for the good of the industry, that can lay out some of these definitions and create some standards that everybody in the industry can use. And as Ray says, we thought in those early days it was going to be about technology standards and integration, APIs and so on. But we've realized that there's a step needed before that, which is education. We've got to educate the broader market of how to use journey techniques and journey management to change your business and deliver business value. And so that's going to be a big theme of ours, is kind of executive level education. And in fact, Paul, you said earlier, we could say when we're launching. So we're launching at the end of this month. It's actually a kind of a phase launch. We've got a series of events that we're appearing at, but we'll be going live for our first audience at the end of this month. And that first audience is very much focused on business leaders. This stuff's got to be led by senior people, owners of P&Ls inside a business, who are looking for more value, looking for growth, looking for cost savings, looking for increased profits. And we know that journeys can get them there. And so, as Ray says, we've got a lot of material that's coming out, but it's been packaged up as essentially a learning curriculum around this whole topic of journey management, how to introduce it into your company, how to manage it in your company, and how to deliver real value to your company through the journey approach. So the fact that we've got, you mentioned Genesis right back at the start, Brent, one of the companies that came together in Amsterdam, but we had really the leaders in the journey tech space. When we then met in London, we added in some practitioners and we added in some consultancy companies because we kind of want a broader view. But this is going to be an institute for business leaders and for practitioners primarily to learn how to get great value out of the journey management approach.
Well, it's one thing. It does seem. Look, we did. Was a couple weeks ago. We did the. Was it already a couple weeks? No, last week we did the CRM Magazine Awards thing, and they had a category was unified. No, not unified experience platforms, and they had a unified, and then they had customer journey. I think they called it optimization, if I remember correctly. I think they were really going for orchestration, but they came with optimization. But Brent, what was that number? Do you have that data on the marketing? Remember the market data that you showed?
Oh, I don't think I have those slides.
Okay, I remember the amount. I just don't remember the rate of growth. But it was the most dramatic data was the projected growth of the journey market. It was from, I think it was like 13 billion now or 2024 to 86 billion by 2030, which is enormous.
Right.
And in fact, outside of enterprise CRM, it was the biggest market, I think. So that tells you one thing. But here's the other side that, I'm kind of picking this up from your conversation here, which is one of the other things which you have mentioned, briefly was, I know one of the things that CRM did in its earlier days was, on the one hand, created something which had an impact, which is CRM association, not the impact we particularly wanted it to have. And I wasn't a creator of it, but I was an officer of it. And but also there was a drive to on various aspects of it to create standards for interoperability, and somebody has to own those standards, right? And yeah, there it is. Okay, so there. Look at these numbers; they're insane. I mean, look at those numbers.
The annual rate was by far the fastest growing of the categories that were involved in the CRM awards.
Is by far, which tells you that they're at least. I mean, look, who knows how accurate dimension research is? I never even heard of them, but the reality is, there's enough things going on out there to make them come up with a projection like that. There's enough things, at least they think are factors, and that means that there's evidence somewhere. So,
Paul, I saw very similar numbers just yesterday. There's a Gartner hype cycle for journey. I think it's customer journey analytics and orchestration in the financial services market, and it's got very, very similar numbers to that. Something like 13 up to nearly $100 billion over the next few years. So
it's hard to ignore it.
I think a lot of that has to do with Gen AI. I mean, I think if we think about how much the Gen AI is taking away for the complexity, of solutions. And when I think about, Paul, you were the first external person that saw Thunder Bay. Remember?
Yeah.
In that hotel on the river.
Oh, I do.
Stuff like that. Too. When I think about the complexity of building that over 3 years, a couple of $1 million, and today, how I wish I had prompting instead of creating an engagement query language. I wish I had the ability to create journey atlases on the fly, per industry. So I think Gen AI and journeys are so interwoven. We talk about that report from Harvard that 95% of AI efforts are unsuccessful. I'm not sure I believe that, but I think a big piece of it is because of the underlying data. You need data, and I think journeys are so important to provide context to the data feeding the journey data into AI, using AI to improve journeys. So it's this continuous evolution that really improves, and that makes me so excited. Nicola asked me, why don't I fully retire? I said, at Pegasystems/Cordiant, we fought to get machine learning adopted. Everybody says it's a black box. They're very successful today. How can I retire when suddenly this is becoming mainstream? I'm sure Mark feel the same way.
No, I get
You
it.
know what? It's funny because I was talking to Peter Graff from Genesis, and he said the exact same thing. He's like, look, I studied this stuff in the 90s. I waited 30 years to become cool because this stuff has become cool. There's no way I'm retiring right now when I'm finally getting the as he said, the chicks to dig me. So let me ask you this.
Brain is like, I have become cool.
Yeah, you know what it is though?
I'm not going away.
I retired because CRM's finally become uncool. I need to get out before it's too late. Got on to me.
So how important is it for companies like the ServiceNows, the Genesises, the Salesforces to build these kind of relationships and ecosystems so that the experiences that get created can cross from one vendor's platform to the other? And it's not about the application, as I think Tony Bates is saying. It's about what kind of experiences you can create. And we all know the bigger enterprises, they have applications from multiples of vendors. So how important is it for them to do the things that they're doing for the outcomes that you're looking for to take place?
Yeah, Brent, it's critical, and it ties exactly to Ray's point about how AI is going to help. If you think about the biggest barriers to success with journeys, or don't even say journeys, the biggest barrier to success with real customer experience delivery for businesses is the siloed nature of the systems that the customer interacts with, the systems that they use, and where the data sits, right? And that's always the challenge. I said earlier, Ray and I have seen plenty of companies get great value. There's a lot of work to be done, getting the right data together and getting the interconnect between the systems. And most importantly, overlaying this journey concept between the way all those systems work together. Now, what AI provides us is a really simplified way of getting the right data. And as we heard in the little video clip, the interview you played earlier, Brent, the tools are now there to connect the systems as well, right? But that always just brings to me the question of, okay, they're now easy to connect. What are they going to do? Right? You can connect them, and we can now get our hands on the data more easily. This is the role of journey management then. Journey orchestration is, well, what are we going to actually get these systems to do to help the customer and deliver that great experience? So it really is a great kind of coming together of these new AI technologies, introducing the discipline of journey management on top of that is in a way that's the tool set that's going to get all of these now interconnected systems to do the right thing for the customer and improve that experience.
Well, to that point, it's kind of funny in a way that AI is going to help drive, and it's one of the reasons I love journey orchestration, and it's also one of the reasons I loved what I saw at Thunderhead and what Ray had built, was AI is going to help drive as close as a business will ever get to understanding actual human behavior, right? Like actual human behavior, not numbers, not KPIs, not benchmarks that lead to the perfect journey. Because, I used to mock all these when I see people doing, the buyers and the buyer's journey stuff where they lay out the five steps. And I'd say, yeah, that's the seller's. I wish this were the buyer's journey, right? And I mean, because it wasn't nobody operates like that. And the thing that I always appreciated about when and again, my experience with Thunder, Kitewheel I think did this too, but was that may have been a benchmark about this would be perfect if, but it wasn't trying to say we're not forcing people into it. We're going to figure out against it what people are actually doing. Right. And that was the thing that blew me away was, you could do it at the meta level, you could do it at the micro level, and it was flawless. And even the journey between meta to micro, which is really fundamentally important to do in as close to real time as you can do it, was smooth. Let's just put it that way. It was just smooth. I saw it. I remember, where I really saw it. Arsenal used to do that. I'm Nick Canetta, who was the Arsenal kind of CRM thunderhead. That guy, he's the guy who handled that level of IT for them. And I would watch the journey. He would show me the various journey stuff going on, and it was astounding because you're seeing people acting in real time. This is finding those actual people, and it's then figuring out things about those people based on signals that it's picking up and transmitting those signals to somebody or some group of people, and then responding accordingly, which is actually, if you really put your mind to that, that is almost science fiction. Because it could be me, it's not literally going to ever be this, but me walking down the street, but saying, wow, something's going on with that guy. He's spitting on everybody he sees as he walks by. But, I'm just saying, it's like the fact that now, but that leads to a very big point for you guys that I'm wondering. So you are essentially become, if things go the way I think they will and hope they will, certainly, become the stewards for this, right? And that means you're effectively the holders of the keys, even though that's not necessarily your intent. That's why I raised that earlier standard, that earlier question about interoperability, because you remember WCCW and all those things. Without that, we would not have a web like we have now. We wouldn't have. We needed somebody to say, okay, all of you people out there, you're doing this competitively and do this competitively, and do this competitively. We need to work together. We have to have some common ground here that we can all agree to. In the world of home automation, it's now the matter over thread is the current, okay, we have a universal standard for communication now, finally. So these different things, finding this universal standard for communication and interoperability, if you're the ones driving the standard, you're the owner, you have the keys to the kingdom, basically, like WCCW did. Is that something, again, I know you're doing it to make the industry better. But is that something you intend to do?
Well, I think that when we created our manifesto, when Mark and I worked in the beginning, we looked at the guiding principles, and the key one at the top was collaboration is a cornerstone of progress. And I think when we look at the lack of collaboration in the space, because of the distrust between the different vendors, and it's interesting how we went into the first meeting in Amsterdam with competitors sitting around the table that most probably, like Mark and I, never really spoken to each other, just knew they were there. And there was kind of a level, if I may say, of distrust between them. Like, what can I say? What can we not say? Are we going to give away some of our ideas and our customers and stuff like that? Started creating a relationship between them. The next meeting in London, totally different. We have meetings every second week. It's continually changing, and you can hear these people starting to talk to each other. We have journey mapping vendors, journey orchestration vendors, VOC vendors, CDPs in the same meetings, and even just creating that collaborative ecosystem, is what we think will drive the innovation in the space and the adoption in the space, and getting everybody to speak the same language versus talking against each other.
So important.
So we have a comment that for whatever reason, StreamYard didn't pick up, but I wanted to get you guys' take on it. So I literally cut and pasted it here. So this is from our buddy Bob Stutz. I'll just read it and I'll let you guys go at it if you want. Bob says, journey management is being replaced by more pragmatic approaches, event-driven engagement, intent recognition, customer data platforms, and AI assistance. I don't know who wants to address that or okay, there you go. Let me get rid of it now.
Yeah, I mean, sure. All right. But I think one of the big challenges in the very broad AI marketplace at the moment is it's very good at doing things like getting at the right data and finding patterns, but it's not very good at automation, right? And the main reason for that is because most companies are not doing the right thing at the moment, right? And that's certainly the case in the CX world. We all know that CX is a high priority, but how many companies are regarded as delivering a great experience by their customers? Very, very few. The processes don't work. Now's not the time to automate, all right? This comes back to you need journey management to actually be setting out the guidelines and describing what is a great experience so that the right thing gets automated, the right thing gets delivered to the customer, right? And just expecting it all to be a magic box of automation to come out of that. AI's got a huge role to play in the pieces and in the interconnects and in the data, but the actual management of that experience, you need a layer that is the journey management piece to guide it. That would be what I would say to Bob.
It's funny because this is also his comment, which came up as link. StreamYard has issues. So Sven asked, do CDPs have a future?
I think CDPs has a future, but maybe not known as CDPs. I think we've seen a lot of conversions in the CDP space. Twilio buying segment. I think what happened into the journey space will happen to CDPs. I think CDPs are evolving into orchestration engines. BlueConic with Leonardo building orchestration engines as part of CDP. I think Bob Stutz hits it on the ball. In terms of all these relevant technologies, yes, and therefore I think a role of the institute is to elevate the concept of journeys, not to just tools and technologies, but strategy. So when we talk about, transitioning to journey-led transformation, journey-led value management, using and really allowing organizations to transition from design thinking to system thinking, where everything is seen as an interconnected system, where every action has a ripple effect across people, processes, and outcomes. I think that's the role that we're trying to say, take journeys as a concept and elevate it up, rather than just pigeonholing it into a journey mapping solution, an event-driven architecture, CDP solution. That's kind of my thinking in terms of how I would like to see the role of the institute to elevate journeys as a transformation mechanism, to help organizations improve and use Paul's loved thing in terms of the value exchange, making sure that there's sufficient value for the customer and sufficient value for the customer. And I think one of the key things around journeys, and again, Paul, you came up with that, is I remember sitting in London where you said every interaction that a customer has to deliver sufficient value for him to have another interaction.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the basics of journey management still there. And will that require multiple technologies? I think we created in the initial manifesto a journey mapping ecosystem chart where we have maybe 12 different types of solutions that we feel that needs to participate. And I think that enables and creates opportunities for new solutions, like I'm just going to call it the concept of a journey bus, journey systems bus, like the old days enterprise service bus. Mm-hmm. I think that, and along with Gen AI, will really allow new tools and to develop in the space. But everything should be the high level when we talk about journey management as a philosophy.
Well, one last thing. So you're launching at the end of this month. How will people hear about the launch? Is there anything we can do to help you with it too? You can let us know that off camera, so to speak. But how will people hear about the launch?
Well, they'll certainly hear from events like this, Paul, and we've got a series of kind of podcasts. Our website will be launched, which is really a peer-to-peer networking forum and an educational forum for business leaders, and that will get launched at the end of the month. So,
all right, that's one. I'm excited. I really am. Journeys need this. Let's just say that. Yeah. Journeys need this, and I honestly, it's really cool that two bitter rivals came together.
Did you guys read the book Team of Rivals by Abe Link?
A little bit late now.
One last quick thing. Do you
Okay.
going back to Peter Graff? He said basically he believes that the agentic AI kind of machine needs to be at the kind of the foundational core of everything that kind of goes forward. Does that fit with what you guys see when it comes from journey orchestration?
Yeah, I think maybe I alluded to a little bit, and there's opportunities for people to create new solutions. The concept of a journey service bus. It's a bus containing MCPs to be able to plug in all the ecosystem solutions into the bus. The bus itself will sit on top of an LLM, and you choose the LLM. And then what will be inside the LLM is a set of agents that have journey context and engage with each other. So absolutely, I believe that is the future, and will make journeys even more valuable and powerful, because you can start having smaller vendors contribute to agents that communicate with each other, rather than, like Mark and I struggled with big cost of developing very expensive journey analytics and orchestration solutions. I think it just changes the ball game so much for us.
Sounds like it might be not just a new ball game. It sounds like we might be in the middle of a new sport or something, because all these pieces come together and they allow you to create something that maybe you weren't even imaginable not too long ago, but now it's here.
Yeah, and I think that talks to Bob's thinking about the journey management is being replaced. You'll have these agents that do their specific things, but collaborate with each other and smart enough to learn how to better collaborate with each other to deliver better outcomes. And I think one of the key things, and we're lucky to have really great vendors like Trent from Incuba as part of the founding team, Joachim, they do Semantica, Alterian, all the people there, but all of them will be creating individual agents that contribute to the progress of the journey space as a whole. So,
I guess I'm going to just make one last point, which is on Bob's comment. I think that was Bob, LinkedIn user, on moments. Customers don't think in journeys, they think in moments. Well, I mean, that's actually true. And it kind of goes to what you said that I said when I went back in the days when it was actually smart, right? Which was there has to be sufficient value in that interaction in order for there to be that's the moment, right? But customers don't need to think in terms of journeys. They don't, right? That's the thing. The companies do.
They need to understand what those moments need to lead to.
Exactly. So that's not a contradictory set of principles. Customers do think in moments, which is why, in effect, why companies need to think in journeys, right? And that's a little too glib, really, but you get the general idea.
Yeah, the journey is the connection of all those moments.
Right.
Customers think about their goal. Customers trying to get somewhere, do something, buy something.
And I don't think about my journey with a company. I think about what are you doing for me right this minute, right? Basically, this second. It's a less zen moment than live in the moment, because you better do something for me now, or I'll be mad at you.
I think Tony Bates said during one of his keynotes, it's not about metrics. It's about outcomes, and instead of trying to pick, and this is kind of like the experience on the employee side of the equation, and the I guess on the customer side. They just want the right outcome. They don't necessarily need to know everything.
Fundamental principle of CRM was that too, right?
Yeah.
Remember, it's always about the outcomes. Look, you could have a horrible interaction, but if the outcome ends up the way you want, it's not so horrible anymore.
Oh yeah,
right. So
it's like a good ending to a pretty really bad book.
Exactly, a horrible book. Oh, whoa, that was really good at the end.
Cheap, fast, and easy.
Yeah, How to Train Your Dragon. That's the way I look at it.
Wow, so, we better end this show now because we're really getting bad here. So, on behalf of Mark Smith and Ray Gerber, I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM Players, and it maybe has been a little while, but come on, we still got to say goodbye to, if I can find her, Minnie.
Come on, where is she? There she is.
Ah, cutie pie.
Yeah, she is. That's Ann Chen's dog.
All right, see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.